All right, can you hear me now? I had to figure out how to get this thing turned on. Looking at the screen over there, I'm not sure if they hear me or not. Eddie Carter, good to see you on here. Kelly Peterson, Big J Hunter. How y'all doing tonight? Oh, thank you. I had to figure out how to go on here. That's the first time I ever had to set it up for a future video to get it set. And I had to figure out where to go to turn the live cam on. Say, Big J, guess y'all can hear me okay. I'm in front of the air conditioner over there. Got it blowing, so if you can't hear me good, I can turn the air off. This evening is one of the only evenings we ain't had no thunderstorm here the last week or so. Pretty much every day it's been raining. Okay, I can leave the air running then. Say 351. I was wondering the other night, see at 351 Cleveland, is that the 351 Cleveland Ford used to make? That where you got the 351 Cleveland from? I know Ford used to make a 351 Cleveland, a Winslow, and a modified. And no, Big J, I ain't been deer hunting yet. Bow season started here in Williamsburg County. I think the 15th, but I'm not too much on the bow hunting, so I'm waiting on September the 1st. Our gun season will start with rifles and shotguns once September gets here. Oh, okay, Mr. Kelly. Yeah, I remember you asking and all that. I try to answer back as many uh, comments and stuff as I get. Sometimes not all of them shows up in pop-ups, and sometimes I don't see them the months later. If YouTube don't notify me, sometimes I go in and go through the videos, and I'll find comments at what I didn't see, and I'll try to get back and answer. Sometimes I'll be late. But Mark Williams, how you doing, Mark? Hope y'all been having better weather there in Georgia than what we've been having here in South Carolina. I tell you, last month we got in these dog days of August here. Man, them thunderstorms come up about every evening. Oh, 73 Grand Train at 351 Cleveland. Yeah, two of my brothers had Grand Trinas. One of them, I think one of them was 72. The other might have been a 73 or 74. One of them was heavier than the other. I think the 72, I think 72 had 351, and I can't remember whether it's Cleveland or modified. But my other brother had a 400 in the 73 or 74, and that 351 would run faster than that 400 would, because I guess that later model was toting more weight. And then my other brother had, I can't remember the year on hit, but it was the Grand Torino Elite. Yeah, it's been so hot here. I go down there and I try to fish in the evenings when I can, and hit so hot mark. I try to wait as late as I can, and sometimes in thunder showers, if they come across, and sometimes they cool it off, and I try to get down to afterwards and try not to get caught in a nutting, because them thunderstorms this time of the year can come up so fast. Eddie Carter, what you say to Eddie? Yeah, I've always wanted to visit Eddie. I've always wanted to visit Louisiana. I imagine I see a lot of it on YouTube and on movies and stuff I'd watch, like Gator McCluskey, White Lightning and stuff like that, different things. And it reminds me of the way our river is here on Black River and all, with the cypress knees and swamps and stuff. But I think y'all have some places in Louisiana and stuff, I think has much more swamps than what we do. But we have swampy places, and then we have hills, and till you get up to upstate, and then you get into more hills and stuff without as much swampy areas. Mayo, I guess that's how you pronounce it, 3155. The fishing's okay here. It's been rough fishing down here all year. The water, every time it start get down to get right, it come more rain. We've had a lot of rain since the spring, and every time the water start to get right, it rains some more. And a lot of that water from the upstate has to drain down through here where I'm at in the low country, and it'll back the water up here and hit a rise. And all year, every time it start to get down to get right, more fresh water come in. But I was trying to make the videos that I could. There's been some tough fishing, but sometimes I'd be fishing. Y'all may be seen up in the trees, over the bank behind the trees, getting the fish that's getting in and out the woods. But you talk about fat fish, though. I mean, they can get fat. They can get out in them woods to catch all the insects, bugs, whatever they need to catch. Yeah, 351. I think that's what the elites, what they consider the Grand Trainer Sport. Well, the one my brother had in the 72, it wasn't the elite, but his one was kind of considered sport. But the elite Grand Trainer, it was a little bit more fancy and all, but they didn't build it. But 1 even 2 years, it was just a heavy heat. That brother had a 400 in hit too, and it was just a heavy. That 351 72 that my brother had, he'd outrun that. I know they raced that elite against that Grand Sport trainer, and that 351 outrun that 400. That 400 was just a heavy in that elite. The elite was a heavy built body. Yeah, some of the pickups had 351s, 360s. Um, Back in 67 or 68, now the brother that before he got the Grand Trainer, the one that had the 72, he had a 67 or a 68 Galaxy, and it had the 390 in it. The 390 was a big block, and the hit would run. I mean, it's a big block 390. It was fast. Okay, Eddie Carter, yeah, shape of a horseshoe. That place right here where I live at, we used to call it Horseshoe. Years ago, it was dirt road that went in and looped around and come back out to the main road. We called it the Horseshoe. A lot of time on Sunday, we get out there and race horses. We raised horses here at the house. I was young, and I was riding horses back when I was 7, 8 years old. But a lot of them that my brothers and stuff would get, they didn't tame them all the way down. They wanted them to stay kind of half wall where they'd still have a little bit of spirit to them. But they quarter horses and stuff, and we'd get out there on Sunday and race them on that dirt road. Uh, yeah, Greg Pope, when that water comes down and it gets high like that, hit a flood out the banks and go over the banks and out into the woods. Then the fish can go out in the woods and stuff, and the water be running so hard they have to get up behind stuff to get out that running water, and or either go down deep and get behind the stumps and treetops and all that. And the water's running so hard it's hard to slow the boat down to try to catch the fish. That's why a lot of time you'll see me turn the boat around backwards, and I'll drift backwards and kind of throw behind the boat and use the motor just to keep slowing me down, turn against the water and just let the boat float backwards. But it kind of, now the big river, if you ever hear me talk about the big river, I'll be at P House. It don't muddy hit quite as bad unless it comes a real high water. But when the water's kind of high, that's where you see me go to is P House. P House or even Pine Tree, but mostly P House because it's a bigger, wider river. Yeah, Eddie car. Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, I like the old model cars and stuff. You don't see too many of them anymore. Now the brother that had the Elite, with the 400 in it, before he got that, he had a 69 Dodge Super B. It had the 383 Magnum in it. I think in 68 and 69, the Roadrunner and the Super B, they put the 383 Magnum, and um, it had they claimed 10 more horses than the 383s that they had been putting in the cars, but the Roadrunner and the Super B is what they was supposed to originally put the Magnum in, and they called it 383 HI, a high out HO for high output. But I think from what my brother said, he's much older than I was. He passed away last year. He's the one that I talked about deer hunting so much and stuff with. But he said what they did, they put the 440 Magnum cam in it and the 440 heads, and gave it ram air and all that where it could breathe easy. He's the one had the 69 Super B, and he said that's what give it so much horsepower and all that. He'd run against that 390 big block that my other brother had in that Galaxy, and that Super B just run. It'd run through the quarter, it'd run on top end. Them big heads, them 440 heads would turn that 383 block. Then you had that 440 cam, and that's why they call it the Magnum or the high output 383. No, Ken Baker, I had never fished Little PD. I fished up there. It's been years ago, up in Johanna right there, and it may have been Johanna Lake that I went in. It's been so many years, but I put in there the I was with one of my older brothers. He's passed away too. He's been dead 20 years, but put in there the landing at Johanna, and we went up in a little creek like, and then it opened back up into like a lake in there. And we caught some nice fish up in there. I'm not sure if it was what they call Johanna Lake or not, but there was some nice fish in there. We was fishing with the cricket and brim buster with the cork there. Yeah, that's one thing about the Greg. That's one thing about the fish being able to get out there in the woods is they fat. When you catch them, when I clean a lot of them out there, the wads of fat on the inside, especially the mouth or the warmouth. I call them mouth, but warmouth. Just be gobs of fat in them. Now the upper part of the river that's not tide water, it's not hurt because it got right to fish at one time, once or twice this year, and it only stayed down 2 or 3 days before it rose back up. So not many people caught much fish out of the upper part. So next year, if the water gets right at the right time, and there'll be fish down there that, I mean, it's a big and fat. I caught them last year like that. That's where some of my videos from 2019 come from. And I mean, I was tearing them up there. I was throwing them back. I only kept like 20, but I must have caught 50. I was throwing them back last year. And I mean, they were so fat one. The bellies, you can look at them on the camera, and the bellies look like the belly was gonna bust. They were so gorged on crawfish and the brim and stuff on the bugs and stuff that they was eating, their bellies was like it was full of eggs, but it was fat when I cleaned them. No, that Greg, that system we had come through, we got a lot of rain out of it. Not much wind, but about 4 or 5 days after then, it rained here so hard for about 3 hours, and it rained like 6 inches in 3 hours here, and that was after that storm had come through. Eddie, I don't remember the 442 Dodge, but I remember the 440 Magnum. But I remember, I think it was Oldsmobile had a 442. Then I think Pontiac had a 455. Ford had a 460. But there was so many of them engines back then. So many of them made different sizes. Mark, I appreciate you stopping in. I tried to alert you. I hope you got the alert on there. I tried to send out an alert where everybody would know. But Mark, you one of the subscribers, been on here for a long time. I can recognize your name every time I see it there. Hope y'all have a great weekend and stay safe, man. I tell you, this way this virus is out there, I don't know if it's gonna ever go away yet. Might get better. Maybe they'll come up with something for it directly. But anyhow, I'm glad you tuned in. Glad to see you on here. Yeah, Kelly, them vehicles now, man, they so expensive. You try to get a new one, they so expensive. It's they outrageous. Now a vehicle costs you as much what I paid for my house back in 2000. um, Gathers 6. Yeah, I try to do a video on setting up my rods and stuff. I get down there, I try to explain as much as I can about them, but sometimes I miss things when I don't get to get into my setups and stuff sometimes. But I try to do something on each one of my videos to try to explain a little bit or show what I'm doing and try to help other people out. No, Big J. Very seldom I've been to saltwater. Used to flounder gig years ago, me and my older brother, but it's been years since I've been out there flounder gigging. I used to like to go flounder gigging. Only thing was, get caught out that night in a storm trying to get back to the uh, landing, because had to come back across Muddy Bay, and Muddy Bay gets rough whenever the wind picks up. Say, Cy Jones, how you doing, man? The watermelons, um, they got about half size this year. They didn't. Uh, well, I had some about half size. The rest of them was stunted. I mean, they just didn't do like they did last year. Last year, I had some nice watermelon, big watermelons. Um, the Charleston Grays and the Sugar Babies were the two that tried to put off the most. And I got I don't know, 7 or 8 half size Charleston Grays, half the size of what they should have been. And I had a lot of the Sugar Babies come on the vines, but only a few of them got to the size they were supposed to be. It was just a rough year this year. The weather was cold. When I first planted, well, it was warm. When I planted, the stuff got up. Then it turned cold at night, and then hit warm back up. But then it rained and hit like the flooded and drowned everything I had out there. I had to replant a lot of it. So I don't know if you've seen the video of me talking about the rain flooding it out and all that, but yeah, that's. Um, Most of the time I use the red Cajun 10-pound test line pretty much on anytime you see me throwing the beetle spin or anything on Kelly. Um, but hit yeah, the 10-pound most of the time what I use that or tri-link, but I try to use something with low memory. And I like the low memory, but sometimes my line, I don't know whether it gets old, gets dried out or what, but sometimes I'll take a little bit of baby oil if I'm using the rod and reel, and I'll drop a few drops on the spool. And because I don't think that baby oil, if you just put just a drop or two on there to lubricate on the spool on the inside of the reel, I don't think it hurts the fish. You might see a little bit of film at first or something or another, just to kind of keep the line moist. And seems to me like it throws much better, and the memory is more limber. Say Casita Walker, just sitting around here chatting a little bit. I was do a live chat. Some people asked me when was like a live chat again. I was wanting to come on here. Thank you to 351 Cleveland. Yeah, I enjoy trying to put out the content. 351. I mean, y'all the reason I get out there, and a lot of times I wouldn't be fishing as much, but I like to get out there and do videos for y'all to see. I mean, y'all encourage me, and I learn more while I'm out there. So I'm learning while I'm showing what and all I do. Yeah, Matt Smith. I still have a few of the old Zebcos in there. They more rounded instead of a little bit longer built. They pretty much just rounded. I still got some on some of the rods in there that I got from years ago. But them 33s, they some tough reels. They'll you have to oil them up or something sometime, but they'll last and last and last if you take care of them. But the reason I like the fish, um, the closed face reel, because a lot of times if I'm fishing where the limbs are hanging over before you get to the bank, up under them limbs, a lot of time is where them fish should be. And I've got used to fishing with that type reel, and I can take it and throw it from underhanded. I can throw it from backhanded. I can throw it from the front. If there ain't no limbs, I throw it overhanded. But I can throw it under there and reel it and get it back in and throw it under there 2 or 3 more times while the tide is easing along with me. So I'm just faster at it than I would be with an open face reel. So a lot of times that's why you see me using that Spincast, you know. So a lot of times if the wind ain't blowing too hard, I can put it within 3 or 4 inches if it's within 15, 20 foot of where I'm trying to throw at. A lot of time I can put it within 3 or 4 inches. I have to get used to the rod. Sometimes I switch rods, but once after 10, 15 minutes of throwing it, I get used to that particular rod, and I know about how far it's going to go before it lands. Casita Walker, I'm down in the low country part of South Carolina, in between Georgetown and Kingstree. About an hour away from Myrtle Beach, but it's a little bit inland. Georgetown is along the coast there. Georgetown's like 35 minutes from me. But Black River, Walkamaw, and the PD River, all of them run together there at Georgetown and go out into the ocean. Yeah, my wife, she loves crabs. She's from the Philippines, and she loves crabs. And she went one time this year, but I didn't go with them to do a video. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get out and do a little bit of catch a few crabs and stuff. And they didn't see the old gator there this time. Whenever they went, last time he took a crab trap from them, but this time the gator wasn't there. So, but yeah, I got some of the footage of the gator on one of the videos. If you watch some of the video, go into my videos and go back and watch some of them. I got one on there called Gator Takes Crab Traps. He took one of the crab traps from them. Yeah, I remember I remember they had the Zebco, and they had the Zebco Classic, and Zebco. It seemed like I remember the silver. I don't know about silver and black, but it seemed like I remember the something called silver. But but I remember when they had the Classic. They had the Zebco, then they had the Zebco Classic, and they had another one, bigger one that I still got here, a Zebco 333, and it's got like a 20-pound test line on it. I use it sometimes bass fishing or cat fishing. Yeah, yeah, Kelly. That's what I love to use. Them closed face reels. I guess you call them Spincast. But yeah, it's much easier for me. I grew up using them. I got used to using them, and I can throw it so fast. I can throw it in there 2 or 3 times before I could make where I could make only one throw with an open face reel. But I got open face reels, but a lot of time I either fished in with the cork just for throwing it out, letting it float along the lily pads or something, or I use the open face to throw out or even bob the bottom like y'all see me doing in the winter sometime. But I got several different types of rods and I use them different things just according to what I'm fishing for. Yeah, Eric, I got to go out there and check on my stands out at Mountain Shade. I got to go out and make sure that they still up good and uh, see what and all I might have to move out the way, make sure there ain't no wasp nests or anything up in them. And check all that out and make sure my path is kind of open because we got some big rattlers down around this area. Sometimes and you're allowed to put out corn around here to feed the deer. And a lot of time them rattlers has got to where they associate them corn paws with rats and squirrels coming to the feed. And so you have to be careful around them corn paws because them rattlers has got where they lay up around them corn paws waiting on that other stuff. And people's almost stepped on them here. They've come so close. I mean, five rattlers over 5 foot long, 5.5 foot. Some of them may be 6, but I know that I've seen some of them that's over 5. Um, Arizona, the marabou jig. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. If you could explain to me, I'd probably know. But most of the time, I use different colored jigs or something according to how the fish is doing. Sometimes I have switched and went from one color to another with the jig head, and just be using the same white beetle on that jig head, and it would I'd catch more fish than what I was doing using the other color. Then it would be a few days later, it'll be biting the other color better. Or some days they'll bite anything. It's just according to whether the fish are feeding or not. But, no, Casita, a lot of time I just travel along with the tide, or even if the water's moving, I'll go along with it and fish along while I'm going. Unless I'm fishing on the bottom in the wintertime, then I have certain spots that I hit that where I know it's deep at because the fish be going back down deep in that cold weather and they'll get down on the bottom. And especially them smallmouth, I go down and catch them smallmouth on the bottom in the wintertime. And a lot of time the brim be up in there with the smallmouth. Yes, it's mites is what it is. Little mites that get on them in the hot summertime. I've seen it before, but I know it wasn't bedding sores, but I've seen it before. But it's little small mites that'll get on them, and it don't hurt the fish or anything, or it don't kill them. But a lot of times they got them sores on them. I throw them back. It's like little small. They almost look like little leeches or something, but they'll get on them when the fish the water gets hot. And but it happens everywhere. It ain't just Black River. It's the lakes here. It's all over the place. But I've seen them all my life. I've seen the fish like that all my life. But it always happens in the uh, summertime. and when it's hot. But it ain't all the fish. It's just you catch one every night. But this year I caught 3 or 4 in one day that was like that at different places. But that's what it is. It's mites that get on. I knew it was bedding sort, but I know something calls it. But I looked it up, and it was what they call mites. And I seen other people on other channels on here talking about it too, because they was catching fish this year. In the upper state of South Carolina, it was having more fish than usual that had the mites on them like that. But I'd read up on it. It says it don't hurt the fish or anything, but it's just they get on them when they get hot like that. And if the fish get in a bed like that, they can spread the mites from one fish to the other. But a lot of I'd throw them back whenever I see them like that and just let the fish heal. But in the wintertime, I ain't never seen them like that in the wintertime in the cool water. Yeah, Matt Smith, that 202, that's the first rod I started off fishing with. And yeah, one of my brothers had the 808, but when I was a young boy, that 202 is what I started with. And that 202 with a black beetle spin. Well, I started with a cane pole, but then with the cricket, throwing on cane pole with a cork and the cricket on it. And but after then, I got a little 202 rod. That's what I started throwing the beetle spin with, was the 202. With the beetle spin that I started with was a black beetle spin that had the two little like fins off of the back of it with yellow stripes, black with yellow stripes. And that's what I started with on the 202. Yeah, Kelly, I see a lot of people when they using the jigs, they use them open face with ultralight line and stuff. More limber, has much better feel to it and stuff. A lot of time, like when I'm throwing that beetle spin, I try to use that 10-pound test line when I'm throwing and fishing that way, because y'all seen some of the mud fish and stuff, and sometimes I have caught bass that weigh over 3 pounds on the beetle spin. The 3-pound bass is good size bass, though. A lot of fish, 3-pound bass, you wait, and 3-pound bass is a good size fish. You get up there to 4 pound, he is nice. I've caught 4-pound bass, but I'm not sure I caught on the beetle spin, but I caught some that weighed over 5 on the Brokeback Rebel and on the Popar. See, I got my tackle box in this. Yeah, Popar. All right, that's right, Jim. My bass fish, I have caught bass over 5 pound on hit, but this year's the water. I like the water to get down low to the tide working right and throw that on the low tide. But then you got hula popper. It worked good too. I don't know if you see it or not. Them little hula poppers are good. But I know a bass one night. I just caught a few bass on that little popper at nighttime, little small popper that I threw for brim. I caught this on hit that weighed over 4 pounds on that brim buster. I mean, that's a fight. And I've had things take off with it and ain't never turned. I don't know if it's 3-pound bass, 5-pound bass, or mudfish or what. It just leave there with that popper at night, and you never turn it with that brim buster, straighten the line out. Dave Smith, I don't believe I've ever seen the 2030. I know I have the Omega. Mr. Richard, he gave me a the Zebco Omega to use hit some try hit, and I got hit hooked up with a bass lure. I got to get out and fish with it some. I haven't been using it because I didn't want to wear it out fishing for beetle spin, because you throw it out and reel it back so much. Yeah, Eddie, you had to watch out for them wasp nests, man. There's some of them wasp nests in them trees. You get them things stirred up. I keep seeing that videos sometime of Bill Dance having to jump out the boat, which he's hung up in that tree and then wasps got behind him. No, sorry, I had never tried the hair jig. I got some in here, and but a lot of this stuff I got to get around to fishing with some and trying out because I like to try different things sometimes according to how the fish is biting, But if I catch the fish biting a certain way, then it's hard to switch over because they're biting that way, and you're trying to make get as much footage as you can and stuff while you're out fishing. But in between, a lot of times, if fishing with one thing, I'll try other stuff and see how it works. And if it gets to working good, then I'll stick with it for a while. But the spring, I did go down there with the swirl tail jigs, jigging on the bottom. I didn't catch no crappie, but I caught a few brim. I didn't get no video of it, but I had the swirl tail jig on the brim buster, going along fishing 8-10 foot deep, and pulling it up and letting it sink back down to the bottom. That swirl tail jig, and I caught some brim on it, but I didn't take the camera that day. Yeah. I think I have some of them Arizona. I got some jigs in there with the white hair on them, but they're smaller than what the big jigs I use, the bucktails that I got fishing at night for bass. They like that, but they're smaller and they're white, and it's got the hair on them, but they're much smaller than the bucktails I use at night for bass. Yeah, Ken. Yeah, I've heard the warmouth here. They're called Morgans too. Yeah. Yeah, we had a preacher. I think he was from up in North Carolina years ago, and he had came down, and he called them Morgans. That's what he referred to them. And I think out other places, I think maybe some places around Louisiana, Mississippi, I think some of them call them goggle eye. But here we used to call the goggle eye the crappie. Crappie is what the old folks here used to call goggle eye. How you doing, Billy? Yeah, hello there, Billy Todd. Uh, no, sorry, I never fished for eels, but I've caught them, especially with the earthworm. Be down there bottom fishing like for the smallmouth, warmouth, and stuff on the bottom in the wintertime and catch eels. But I'll take the eel a lot of time and cut him up and put him on the trot line. Now, catfish love eel. They slimy and all that, hard to cut up. But if you want to catch catfish, you cut up a eel and you fish with that catfish. Say, Cassidy Brown, how you doing? Yeah, Eddie them love the night crawler. A lot of time I dig earthworms here too. I know I got one video where I went down and dug when the water got down up in the upper part of the river. I dug some earthworms, fished with them, the deep brim buster some, caught some brim. But a lot of time in the winter, if I can't get down there, if the water's too high, I can't get down there to dig them, then I'll buy night crawlers, break pieces of night crawl off and fish with it. Um, Cassidy, I mostly fish from Ridge Landing, back to Pine Tree and Pea House Landing. About the furthest I go back next Georgetown is Browns Ferry. And up here at Reds, the tide water don't work up that way. It just goes one way coming down from King Street. But the water's black all the way up the Black River Swamp next Sumter. Turns into Sumter Swamp up there before you get in. I think it's 378 before you get to Sumter. And Black River Swamp ends up there. But you get back next King Street, the river ain't very wide. nothing, but the water still got that blackish looking tint to it. Crappies are called white perch in Louisiana, Haiti. Yeah, different places that you be at, they a lot of time different. People refer to different fish at different names. Like the speckled perch here, um, we call them speckled perch, but the name in the book is pumpkin seed. But we've always called them speckled perch. They're pretty fish. They're pretty. They don't get so big, about half the size of a brim, but they sweet eating. Yeah, Cassie, sometimes it's hard for me to type too, especially on this computer. Sometimes I got certain letters on here when I'm trying to type. Sometimes, uh, like the L, I can hit it one time, but it'll put two L's on there. Sometimes I got a J. I have to hit it 4 or 5 times before the J will pop up. So I have a time sometimes typing too, sometimes seeing the keys. Collinettes, I bass fish a little bit, not a whole lot. Um, but I do go down and bass some. But like this year, very few times the water got down right like I like for it when I bass fish. And when I bass fish, I've used the rubber worm some, but I like to fish the top water lure because I like to see when that bass busts that top water and hits it. So I like to fish the top water stuff instead of fishing, a bait that runs under the water. Or sometimes I will throw the broke back rebel, but yeah, I like to use the top water stuff when I do fish for bass because I like to see them hit that thing and bust that water. I had never fished to walk them off. That's one place, but I got to get out more this year. I fished the lakes over there some, um, up around Harry's and Angels. I'm not sure if it's Lake Moultrie or what's the other part of the lake name, but then you have Santee Cooper lakes. But around Harry's and Angels Fish Camp and stuff, I fished up there some for brim and some for catfish, but not a whole lot. And I fished the Santee River a couple of times. But in the future, I'm gonna try to go around more to the lakes and the other rivers and stuff and fish them some. All right, Eddie Carter. Yeah, you too, man. Stay safe and have a good night. And thanks for tuning in and viewing the channel. Um, I think the stripers. We call them rockfish a lot of time, but I think on Side Jones, I think the stripers come up in the Black River and during the spawn, I believe, and run up Black River to spawn. But I know that the shad do. I used to set shad nets. Me and my older brother, we used to set shad nets here, and the shad will run up at. We used to start setting shad nets. I think around the middle of February until the end of March. End of March, then the season will go out for the shad nets. But I know the shad would run up Black River here, and I love to go to the canal, the Tail Race Canal, right there at St. Stephen's, and catch the shad when they run. Because when they come through there, I guess in the schools, for a while they running through, you can catch one shad after the other on that 33, and that's fun, and that's a fun fight to catch them shad. You get or you pull them in, then they'll turn around when they get close to here and they drag line back out. Then you got to start all over. And some of them will go down, some of them will just run, and some of them will come up and jump out the water. It's just according to shad. It's fun though. I don't eat but one or two of them a year, but they're fun to go over there and catch. And I'll only keep so many of them, and I'll eat maybe one or two a year because they got so many bones and the meats are rich. But you can also put them up and keep them for cut bait for fishing with, or put on a trot line or a bush hook or something. Yeah, I've heard about the collinettes. I've heard about the whopper plopper. I had never fished it, but I've heard some people talk about it. I got to try it sometime. Do anything at Santee Cooper had. Buddy said the shell cracker was bitten up in packs. Um, I know that the shell cracker and the brim um, get up in holes or in places, and they'll bed. When you find them beds, just like at the lakes over there, if you find where them beds are, you can sit there and pull fish. You get tired of pulling fish. Black River, they'll bed up at places, but you can sit there and you can catch so many. Sometimes you might catch your limit, but them lakes over there, when you get in the beds over there, you find where they at, you can catch your limit and still be sitting there and catching fish and throwing back because they be bedded up so much in one area spawning. Yeah, if I yeah, the water here too. I mean, every time it start to get down, more fresh water either come from upstate or around here, and it rise right back up. It's just been a rough year all year for fishing. It, I mean, you just have to deal with it and get out there and do what you can do. I mean, it's all in fishing. I mean, some days, and some of the perfect days that I caught that I went down there, the wind wasn't blowing too much. There's hardly any fish biting. I mean, them was the days that I would have thought I'd have caught them, but sometime when the weather's rough, catching more fish is just harder to hold a boat or fish how you want to. Yeah, Billy Todd, I catch nice ones out of Walker. That's great. Eighth hour fish Black River, North Carolina also. Yeah, that's great. Eighth hour. Side Jones. Some people love them, but they're real bony, and the meat in the shad is real rich. Like I say, I eat one or two a year, but it's. I mean, it has a a good taste to it, but you can tell it's kind of a strong, oily fish. You know, but I'll eat one or two a year. Some people love it, but now I've heard of people that they'll take them and put them in vinegar and let them soak in the vinegar and put them up. And they say that it brittles the bones in them. And when they get ready to cook them, they don't have to pick so many bones. Or something about the vinegar brittles the bones, and then when they fry them, and then some people cut them a different way, and they say that they fry them till the bones get crisp, and they don't worry about so many bones. But I still fillet my shad the old way and still cut them up the same way that what mom and them used to. But now people, instead of filleting him down and then cutting him in squares, a lot of people cut them all the way across, about this thick, and all the way down the fish and cut him a different way. Kelly Peterson, there's a few swamps out there where I hunt at, and that's mostly where the hogs stay at. They come up out them swamps sometime on the piece of land that where I hunt, and eat the corn or get in your corn or something. Sometimes you can catch them in the daytime, but most of the time they coming out at night and eating the corn and going back into them swamps. But they're getting worse and worse. But sometimes we'll see one or two out there and we try to take them out because them raw hogs, they'll destroy your place and they'll eat all your corn in one night. You got corn out when they get into it. But yeah, we got a couple of swamps there, and I mean, it ain't herds of hogs, but sometimes they'll come up in the swamps, and then when they come out in the swamps, they come up into the, because the swamps are on the outside of the places where I hunt, but they'll come up out them swamps sometime and come into the place in the middle where I hunt in between them swamps, and they'll eat the corn and stuff. Cassidy Brown, our rifle season hadn't started yet. It'll start September the 1st. So that's what I'm waiting on. Bow season is in right now. I think it started the 15th here. But I'm waiting on gun season to start. I ain't too much into bow hunting. I got a few nephews that do it, but they much younger than I am, and they'll take them little skinny ladder stands, and they'll go 30 foot up in that tree up there. They'll take them climbers and they go 40 foot. But yeah, I wait on the gun season to start before I get out there and start hunting. But I think in some of the counties here, I think dog season already started because I seen some of my friends on Facebook had posted the other day where they was running some hounds. So I guess dog season must have started in some of the counties with guns. Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, the place where we lease. Yeah, we've been leasing here. My brother had it, and we've been out there for over 40 years. Place we lease, and we keep the lease on it, and that way we, got a place to hunt, want to take care of it and everything. Cy Jones, I used to hunt rabbits. I mean, I used to keep a pack of beagles. I used to run deer with dogs, but the area where I'm at, they had place that we leased, they done away with the dog hunting. So now we just tree stand hunt or steel hunt. Um, but I used to raise beagles. Um, and after deer season would go out, then I start running the beagles on rabbits. And that's what we do here on Saturdays. 5 or 6 of us will get together at daylight in the morning times. We turn them beagles loose and we chase rabbits. Around 11 or 12 o'clock, one fellow would be there and we'd have some water in a big cooler. Some of us would skin out the rabbits. The beagles would still be running. The other fellows still be after the rabbits, and we clean some of them rabbits. And the other fella, he had the frying pan getting hot. After we get the rabbits cleaned and washed off good and everything, he'd throw them rabbits in some brown gravy and taters and onions and let them rabbits simmer in there. 12 or 1 o'clock, we'd take a break. The beagles still be running. We'd come up there and we'd sit around and eat. We'd let them beagles just keep running until we'd get full. Then we go in there and we try to get a few more rabbits. But man, them beagles sound like they killing something when they get behind it. Them beagles is a mouthy thing now. It's fun to listen to them run. Yeah, Cassidy, I'm gonna try to do some more deer videos and stuff this year. Yeah, I love deer hunting. But it's so hot the first of the year. It gets over into October, and then them bucks get to moving more, and you can catch them cool mornings and stuff, and it's okay up 11 or 12 o'clock. But after then, it starts getting hot that time of the year. Yeah, yeah, I'm ready for some cool weather, man. I tell you, it was like 3 weeks here, our heat index was staying over 100. And now we're down to like 88, 90 degrees. Heat index is still like 95, 96, but there for a while, every day was over 100-degree heat index, like 108, 110. I know it was 112 heat index one day. Yeah, Matt Smith, yeah. But rabbit, we used to, most time we cooked them in gravy or something if we cooked them while we was out hunting. But yeah, you can boil that rabbit about an hour, kind of get him tender, then fry him. He good that way. Squirrel, you got to boil that squirrel good too, get him tender. And you either fry him or you can cook him in a squirrel perla. Yeah, I hadn't ate squirrel in a long time, or rabbit. But yeah, I used to enjoy getting out and hunting squirrel because after deer season would go out, squirrel and rabbits about all we had to hunt here. I mean, dove season would be in for a week or two, but then it would go out. So then it was squirrel and rabbit and fishing. Most of us would go into fishing. We used to raise them beagles though, man. We used to love running beagles for rabbit. Um, Kelly, most of the time here, along where I live at, I don't know about the upstate, but most of the time around here, um, I have seen some of them. They'd be acting like they was trying to rut at the end of September, but pretty much the whole month of October. Once October comes, you'll start seeing bucks that you hadn't seen all year that you didn't know was there. Now, after the first week or two of November, then it kind of starts dropping back off to get where you're seeing fewer and fewer bucks till by the time near the end of October, November gets there, uh, you see a buck here and a buck there. And in December, if you see a buck, a lot of time it'll be a young buck or something. But that month of October and the first week or two of November is most of the time when you could kill your big buck here and when you could catch them on the move in the area here where I live. I don't know about the upstate, but around here. But the weather will be cool in the mornings during October, but then it kind of after 11 o'clock, then it starts getting hot and all that. And the evening times is pretty good hunting, but a lot of time the morning hunt's what you're looking at. Say, well, Zachy, man. Yeah, that water it's been high. Yeah, Wacky man. It's like I say. I mean, it's just been one of them years. I mean, you just had to catch the fish the way you could catch them, figure out a way to catch them. I mean, all the people I talked to, they had a hard time in my area here, especially on Black River. But you just have to deal with it and either that or try to go to the lakes or somewhere or another. But I try to, get what videos I could and catch as many as I could. But I did catch some nice fish this year. Now, some days I went and I didn't catch many. But some of the fish I caught, I mean, were pound brim and I don't know if seen anything, but I was caught a few shell crackers this year. It was a little bit over 2 pounds. But I mean, some of the fish are healthy when you catch them. Boil them and put the hot sauce on them on the squirrels. Matt, yeah, I bet that's give them some flavor. Yeah, make them better. Thanks, Ken Baker. Yeah, you stay safe too, man. Yeah, I enjoy all y'all watching and interacting with you and everything. Yeah, hey, foul them Jack Russells. Uh, One of my nephews had one, man. Them thing They hate a squirrel. They will chase squirrel all day long. That squirrel go, they'll watch that tree. They'll run around and around that tree. Energy. And Jack Russell's got some energy now. They do their best to catch it. They hate to give up on that squirrel. Well, some of them do. The ones, one that my nephew had, he'd watch that squirrel up that tree all day long if he didn't make him come in the house. They kept theirs in the house. But that dog hit the yard, he was looking for a squirrel somewhere or another. Yeah, Kelly. It's like our rut. I don't know the way the weather is anymore. It's so hot here, and it's like we have. It's kind of like the pre-rut is, and then it's kind of like it's long and drawn out. But the bucks don't really rut hard. I mean, it's kind of like just a long, drawn out rut. You got the pre-rut, and sometimes the pre-rut, I guess, at the very end of September there, and during the month of October, they kind of coming into that full rut, and the weather, it ain't real cold. So, here where I'm at. So it's just kind of a drawn out rut to where they don't rut really hard. They'll be moving and stuff, but not real hard like they. And here we have so many does. I mean, just oodles and oodles of does here. I mean, a lot of time when they stopped the dog hunting here, in a lot of places, the state didn't stop it, but a lot of the lands and stuff stopped it. When they did that, a lot of the hunters here don't want to shoot does out the tree stand because they got the mindset that if they shoot that doe, that buck will either be off in them woods watching and listening, and if they shoot that doe, they're not going to get a chance at that buck. So a lot of them they let the does walk, um, and then the does the population gets to be more. But there's so many coyotes here. The coyotes are keeping the population kind of in check. But some hunters now that I took a couple of does last year, and that was one of the first does I shot in years. But having so many does, them bucks ain't got to rut as hard to find a doe whenever they are rutting. I mean, because they got does everywhere just to choose from, and they ain't got to fight and chase each other as hard and all that, and risk hurting themselves to get to mate with does because there's the number of doe to buck ratio around here. There's so many more does than there are bucks. And that's probably another thing besides the weather, what has the rut messed up here. I mean, it used to be when the weather turned cold over in that first week or two of November, back when we dog hunted back in the 70s and 80s, that's when the bucks was rutting hard back then. But back then, all we knew was dog hunting. We didn't know tree stands or anything like that because we started off dog hunting. That's all we knew for years. But yeah, about that third week of November here, the bucks have done started to go back into hiding and kind of moving at night mostly. But I mean, you kill bucks right on up through December, but yes, ain't can see them or see that big buck like you're likely to in October and first week or two of November. Um, Cassidy Brown, up to last year, I started off, I hunted with the 303 to start with, no scope. That's back when I was a teenager I was around 20, 21 years old. And I bought me a 30-06. I hunted with it for years. And when I went from 30-06, I bought me a 300 Win Mag. And I hunted with head up till last year, but I bought a 7mm 08. And I bought hit for my brother to use because he was using a 308. And he got to where it wasn't shooting, even scope and messed up or something. So, and it was a semi-auto. And I bought a 7mm 08 bolt action. So he would come get it and use it. So last year he had passed away right before the season started. So I take the 7mm 08 and used hit all year last year. I didn't take the 300. Kind of as a memory to him. I mean, I bought it for him to use, and for me to use sometimes if I want something that didn't kick so bad like that 300 Win Mag does. So, but yeah, last year, pretty much the whole year I used the 7mm 08. It's got good range. It's got what we call knockdown power, energy out there, pretty good range. And it don't kick near as bad as that 300 Magnum 300 Win Mag. But now that 300 Win Mag, when it hits, man, it's a horse. It's a horse on your shoulder, and it's a horse with that 30 caliber piece of lead hitting what it hits. It's could knock a hole. When I shoot them with the 300 Mag, I try to make sure and do my best to hit them behind that front shoulder. Because if you hit them in that front shoulder, even them hindquarters, even out to 400 yards, I try not to make a shot over 300, but I have shot them every now and again. But I hit one in the hindquarters about 400 yards, and even at 400 yards, them hindquarters, they were messed up. So if you can shoot that 300 Win Mag, you always got to try to make sure you hit behind that front shoulders where it go right through that rib cage. Because if you hit them in the front shoulders or in the hind quarter, you can destroy a lot of meat. And that's way out the long range. I mean, it just, but that 7mm 08, it'll mess them up too, but not near as bad as what that. But with 7mm 08, you pretty much got the knockdown power and the energy out there at longer ranges, like you do with the 308, but you got the speed and the accuracy pretty much of the 243. It's kind of a fast bullet, but it's kind of a bullet that's got enough weight to it and enough speed and stuff to have good energy and knockdown power when it hits. Yeah, Matt needs some cool weather with that rug. Kelly, they'll, when you get your license here, when you pay for your license, they'll send you 3 buck tags. You can kill any size buck as long as it's legal, which is over, I think, 2 inches length on the horn line. But you can order and pay for 2 extra buck tags, and they're restricted tags. They have to be, I think, 8 points, or at least have 4 points on one side, or more than a 12-inch. More than a 12-inch spread. I hadn't read the book this year, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was last year. You can read up on it in South Carolina. Go to SC. South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, and it'll tell you on there what the regulations is. And I think they sent me 2 doe tags this year, but I think you can get an extra 4. I used to could. I don't know about this year. I hadn't read up on it. Yeah, Matt, the doe's more tender. I know that. And some of them old bucks on them things is tough. Yeah, 351. I hadn't heard of the 742. I got the model 700 Remington. Well, all 3 of my rifles I use are model 700. All except for the 303 British but it's antique. It's 1943. Yeah, Cleveland, that 300, it kicks. I mean, I'll shoot that 7mm 08 in some awkward positions. But if I'm gonna shoot that 300 Win, I try to be behind hit and have it on my shoulder good. And hit these 2 fingers right here. I try not to shoot more than one time because it'll slam against it and slam that trigger guard back next to that finger there a lot of times. If you shoot it over 2 or 3 times, I've had the skin to come off and that finger go to bleeding. I try to make one shot count when I shoot that 300. Gary Dozier, 270 is a great rifle. You get out there long ranges. Um, the 270, I had never owned one, but some of my nephews and stuff own one. But what I can understand on the 270 is it's off of the 30-06 cartridge, but it's neck down to a smaller diameter where you get more speed and more energy out there at long range, where it don't have as much droppage, and when it hits, it still hit pretty hard. But a lot of times what the people, if you look at your books and things and listen to a lot of people talk, one thing they don't talk about when you're versing like a 7 millimeter against a 30 caliber is the diameter of them bullets when they hit. It's just like that 300 at close range with the energy that thing's got up to 300 yards. That 30 caliber is a bigger diameter, more bigger round than what that 7 millimeter is. And with hit moving at that rate of speed, when hit hits, the bullet's already bigger anyhow. So the hits just go flatten out more and just take out a bigger section than what that 7 millimeter is. The 7 millimeter, you can get out there with them and get more energy and stuff. It past 300 yards, up to 400, 500 yards. But the energy, you're not shooting a plate of steel. You're shooting an animal that's got meat and bones in it. So even them slower, when the bullet, them 30 caliber slowing down more, when they hit and they got the weight behind them, they still gonna do a lot of damage at them distances. 270, it's a flat shooting. Hit a shoot and get right on. But the 243, I got a 243. I've shot hit, but what I don't like about hit, and I've seen other people do it, and I've helped them look for the deer, is some of them at 100 yards, shoot the deer, and you go there and you find one or two sprinkles of blood, and you look and look and look, and you'll find a drop of blood here or something. Sometimes you'll pour. Sometimes you just find a drop here and a drop there before you ever find that deer. And I've seen them leave, and a day or two later come back and find a big buck laying, and you'll be walking 30 steps where he was at because he wasn't leaving that much of a trail of blood, because that smaller caliber bullet, not much grain to it, not enough weight to flatten out and come out, knock it big enough to the other side. That's just my opinion. But all them rifles are good. I love that 243 is accurate now. I've seen them. My brother took them with hit out to over 300 yards. It's not a long range rifle. Shouldn't be shooting over 300 yards with it, but sometimes, it will get out there. Yeah, OJ, I miss hunting with the dogs, man. Some of the people around here still do it, and some of the places beside us, sometimes they dogs will come and they'll cross us going through, and I still love to hear them run. I hear they dogs coming, instead of me getting mad or something or other. Hey, I just sit there and listen. I enjoy hearing the chase when they come through. If I got my shotgun with me, I'll sit there and if they run a buck cross. But I ain't the one hunting the dogs or nothing. They come off of somebody else. But I don't get mad with them or anything. Because they don't hardly bother us anything. But I enjoy hearing the dogs when they still come through running every now and again. But that's maybe once or twice a year. But it's only one or two dogs here and there. Cassidy, I had never hunted the government land in between Jamestown and up before you get to Charleston. I think it's something like 100,000 acres of government land there that a lot of the fellas here go to, and they dog hunt and stuff. When it's opened up, they got certain days they open on. and you can tree stand it. And I don't know if anybody that tree stands it from around here, but I know they wait on them dog days that they have scheduled to open where they can go over there. And Francis Marion Forest, that's where it is. Another thing about the Francis Marion Forest, I think that's where they made a movie called The Swamp Fox, and that's where the Swamp Fox's area was from, was over there around the Francis Marion Forest. But, yeah, I think seemed like near 100,000 acres or over 100,000 acres, but you can look it up if you got a map or something. You can Google it and look up Francis Marion Forest, and it's over there in Berkeley County, I think, or part of it's in Berkeley. Cassidy, yes, Cassidy must know about the forest. I mean, I had never hunted it myself. Yeah, I mostly hunt the place what we'd have leased. Few private places around here I'll hunt from time to time. Kelly, that'd be a hard decision. Would I hunt or would I fish? I mean, when one thing goes out, that's when the other one is starting to get good. So, I mean, that's kind of a tough question. It'd be hard to choose in between that. It'd be kind of like my uncle. One of them young boys went over there, one of my older uncles. He'd been passed away for years now, but he was one of them old timey fella. He asked him to borrow his shotgun. He looked at him and he said, borrow my shotgun. He said, I almost drove to send my aunt with you and you asked me for my shotgun. Them old fellas was a mess back when this was in the 70s. They was old then, so that tells you the times they come up to. They shotguns was they life. They had he had the double barrel with the cock handles on it. That's how old that double barrel was. But, hunt, so I have to hunt on public land. Oh, okay, Cassidy. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. There's some places, but I know I hear there's some places up next. Maybe Macedonia and around that way that may be on public lands to hunt. I'm not sure. Probably could Google a map or something. Yeah, Kelly, that's kind of a hard decision between the hunting and fishing. I mean, I'm just glad we have both here. And one of them, because by the time deer season getting there, the weather's, all the leaves are going off the trees and stuff. And if the river ain't flooded, then you go down and start fishing on bottom, fish down deep in them holes. Fishes went down. Side Jones, it's according to the size of the club, according to how many members they have, how many members they want to take in. Uh, so some of them take in as many members as they can to get the prices down. But a lot of clubs around here, they'll only take in so many members, and and that way they're not so crowded, and they have plenty of room for each member. And it's just according it's according to what you call expensive. I mean, some places, I mean, but yeah, anyway, it's according to how many members they want in the club, what kind of the price, and how many acres or whatever they leasing. Yeah, Cassidy, yeah, man. Thanks for your service. Yeah, the military, man. I tell you, if it wasn't for them and keeping this country safe and everything, things y'all do. Anybody have anything to talk about? Let's see. No, I'm not retired, Cassidy. I keep doing odd jobs here and there, different things. Keep doing side jobs, do a little bit of landscaping, stuff like that, and try to get out and do some fishing and all that. I mean, I don't make a lot of money off of my YouTube videos, not enough hardly to pay for the gas to go down there. So don't get rich off of that. But with frog gigging, I ate frog legs one time, but I ain't never did the frog gigging. Back when I was younger, some other guys that went out and gigged frogs, and they had a bonfire going and all that, and we standing around, and they wanted to cook some frogs, and they cooked up some frog legs. That's the only time I ever tried frog legs. But yeah, back when I was younger, we used to have a bonfire or something going all the time outside. But fishing in the fall and winter when it's cooler season, fish start returning, the shallows getting ready for the next spring. Yeah, when the spring, it starts getting next to spring, the warmer that water gets, the warmer the weather gets, then fish gradually just keep making their way up, getting shallower and shallower, coming up as the water warms up. That's when I love to fish too. And then spring, I love to fish the spring more than I do the fall. But I also love the winter time because our winters here, we don't have not no real cold. We have some cold weather, but not no major cold weather to stay cold for a long time. But South Carolina, you can go from in the winter time, you can go from 18, 20 degrees one night. The next day, when it starts warming up, it can warm back up into the 70s and then stay in the 70s for a day or two during the day, and then get back into the 40s or 50s during the day for the next 3 or 4 days. Then be sunny, then be rainy. That's why they got a saying here says if you don't like the weather in South Carolina, to stick around for a week, it'll change. No, Side Jones, I don't have a fish finder. I have never used a fish finder. I, most times I just try to find where the fish are if I'm drifting along. I try the places that I know and know how to, whether it's deeper or shallower places, stretches of the river. And I just try to figure them out by that. And in the wintertime, I know that they're down in them deep holes. So, but I know where the deep holes are. So I try to get there and try to find out, catch the fish out them deep holes then. You're welcome, Kelly. I thank you, man. I just enjoy chatting with y'all. Y'all watching the videos and stuff. I mean, back when I started doing YouTube, I didn't ever think I'd have, subscribers like this and people watching the videos and stuff. I mean, it surprised me. I mean, y'all surprised me. I appreciate it. Ronzel Schuler, sounds like you're West Texas weather. Yeah, y'all's weather, I guess, changes back and forth like that too. Yeah, it's the old saying here, just if you don't like the weather in South Carolina, just stick around for a week. It'll change, especially in the wintertime. I mean, you go from 70 degrees one day to 30 the next, then back up to 70. Allowed to be sunny for a day and then raining for a week. You don't never know. Same with North Carolina, Matt. Yeah. Oh, the weather says all over the country, Kelly. I guess everybody says that. All right, good night, Kelly. I think I'm gonna take a few more questions or chat a little bit more, and it won't be long. I'm gonna start calling it a night myself. I sure appreciate y'all coming in and joining in the chat and watching, and a lot of times y'all make suggestions on here, something or other, and I'll try stuff that y'all be talking about. So as y'all watching me, I'll be reading y'all's comments a lot of time and stuff on the posts, and a lot of time I try things that y'all be talking about. So I learn from y'all learn from me. We always learning. That's one thing with fishing and hunting. When you get too much knowledge that you ain't learning anything new, or ain't got no further to go with it, and I mean myself, I lose interest in it. But you're always learning something new. Always something new you can try. Always a different way you could do it. A different type of way you could fish. Always something. Cassidy, I used to take my fish and put them in the Ziploc freezer bags, put water in it. But I'd get agitated a lot of times because them fins would poke a hole in that Ziploc bag. So a lot of times now I'll cut the top, and I have a video on it. I'll cut the top out of a milk jug or anything like that and put the fish in there, and I'll fix me a place in the freezer, and I'll put them fish in that milk jug. I'll just cut off the top, put them fish down in that milk jug and put water in it, and I just set that jug up in the freezer and let it freeze like that. And then that way I ain't got to worry about them fins poking a hole and that water dripping down in my freezer or anything when I put them in the freezer. Some people say that they use ice cream boxes. I had never tried it with an empty ice cream box, but I'd be scared it would, dissolve the paper and the water might leak. But I mean, it may work. I never tried it, but I know some people suggested trying that. But I've been doing mine like 2 liter Pepsi bottles or something. You can get 4 or 5 fish. You cut around the very top of that thing, and you can get 4 or 5 good sized fish down in that bottle and fix your place where they just sit straight up in the freezer. But if you put the water around them, when you put them in a jug or something like that, they'll last much longer than they will if you don't put nothing on it. If you don't put any water or anything around them, then it will dry the fish out. Now I had a cousin, he put his in up, he didn't scale them. He'd put them in there in the freezer with the scales on them. And he would throw them out when he got ready to eat some. He would throw them out, and then he would scale them and fry them. So that's the way he used to do his. Now, thank you, Backwoods. Welcome into the stream here. And thank you, back in the woods for watching and commenting and everything. Yeah, appreciate you joining in, man. Vonzel Sheila, like watching your vids. You remind me of my dad who passed away 3 years ago. He was smart, so thank you. So, thank you, Vonzel. Sorry about your dad passing, man. But I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I mean, a lot of the things I was raised on, I was, taught years ago by, my dad passed when I was 3. So I was mostly raised by my older brothers and stuff. And so a lot of the stuff that they learned from the older generation, I learned from them. And then I had some older people that they taught me a lot of things. It's like, I'm not sure if I got one handy here. It's somewhere in my box. I can find it. I don't know where I have it at right now, but it's like with the bucktail jigs. The old guy that I fish with at night a lot of times, he taught me how to tie, cut the hair off the buck's tail, white hair, and tie it to the hook. So a lot of time I make my own bucktail instead of buying a bucktail out the store or something of it with a heavy piece of lead on it. If I want a bucktail that I want the fish and stay up close to the top of the water, then I got my hand tied bucktails with no lead on it. If you want it to sink down, all you got to do is put your weight on the lead above the or right at the homemade bucktail and fish it. But I wish I could find it, but I don't know where it's at right now. I know I got it in this box. I'll show it to you. Maybe I have one in this other box. Hang on just a second. Yeah, the way with things when you're looking for something that you want to show, that's when you can't find it. But maybe on the next stream, maybe I'll find it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But he showed me how to tie them. So sometimes when we take a deer or something, I'll cut the hair off the tail and take it and tie it to the hook and put a trailer hook on it, and then I'll have me a bucktail jig rigged up. Thank you, Si. Yeah, man, I like to get outside and cook sometime. Cook something up. It's one thing we've been used to doing here. A lot of time, I enjoy doing it in the hunting club too. Sometimes we take the pan and stuff out there. We didn't get to do it last year. Like I say, one of my older brothers that I hunted with so much, taught me so much about hunting and stuff. He passed away just before the season started. So last year, the first month or two, I mean, I had so much on my mind. It was, I mostly was just going out there. I seen bucks or killed bucks, but I mostly going out there to I could sit and think and stuff. I mean, for a while you have things on your mind, missing them, thinking about the times that they ain't there no more. But yeah, I like to get out there and cook stuff. Sometimes we used to do it at the hunting club. Take some fresh meat. Sometimes we cook a perlo. Sometimes we happen to take one. We used to have back when we had dog hunting. We used to have a hand water pump at the shed. We pump the water, clean the deer. We'd be cutting off some and frying it right there while we was at the shed. We had a shed there, and all of us would gather up, eat lunch or something. Sometimes we'd fry up some men's while we was there. But yeah, I enjoy getting out and cooking in the yard and stuff. Grilling sometimes. I don't never eat the sorry, I don't never eat the dry fish. The wife, she's from the Philippines, and dry fish is one of the things over there that they have everywhere. I mean, when she'll take it, I know she'll cut them and then she'll marinate them in vinegar and some other stuff in there with the vinegar, and she'll let them stay and hit, and then she'll put it out in the sun, let the sun dry it out, but she'll put them in a cloth bag or something to keep any of the flies or anything like that from getting to it until that sun with that salt. She'll cover it in salt. And that sun would dry it all the way out. And after then, it don't have any smell or anything left to it. But then she'll take it and fry it. So, but I never ate it. I mean, but whenever she makes it, there's several other Filipinos here in the area. And they love to come and eat it because it's something of it that they miss from their country over there. But I mean, it's most like us taking jerky or something like they used to do here years ago, and salting it down, putting it in the sun, letting it dry out. Once that salt pulls, all the juice and all that out the meat, I mean, it's like it's preserved. Once she does that and takes it out the sun, it lasts. Um, Grace, how long do dry fish last after you dry them? But what I'm saying, you put it up in the canisters and stuff, or in the bags, it lasts. But how long it lasts?
3 months, 5 months.
She said once she dries it and she puts it in a canister or a bag, she can put it in the fridge. And she said it lasts 3 months, 5 months. It's just according, but it's like a preservative. And then she makes a lot of other dishes, pork fried rice, shrimp fried rice, curry, um, adobo, all kind of things that she cooks. A lot of the stuff she cooks, I hate. There's just certain things that she cooks that I don't eat. Very few. I just had never tried to dry fish, but but a lot of the any Asian food, a lot of times she can cook pretty much anything that she can cook a little bit of Japanese style food, a little bit of Chinese style food, and pretty much all of the Filipino style food. Back was February is the best time to catch crappie down here in North Florida. What's the best time out there? Yeah, around February and March here also. Back in the woods. Yeah, February and March, them crappie are gathering up, getting ready for the spawn. They start coming up into that shallower water. The crappie will start coming up before the brim and stuff does up into the shallows. Then at the end of February and 1st of March, they do their spawning. So a lot of them will be already up shallow. And this year I want to get down there some with the shiners and take the shiners. I used to fish with the shiners and try to find out where the crappie was at. And I take them shiners and put on a cork and throw it out on the rod and reel and let it drift into where them crappie and stuff would be sitting at. And a lot of times you can sit there and you get where the crappie's at, you can sit there and catch them. Sometimes you catch a few nice bass out of the two where they at. Yeah, Matt Smith, yeah, I love to catch them on the bed in March. Yeah. I love to catch the crappie, but when it comes to eating, um, I just assume eat the brim and the warmouth, whichever one you want to call him. And them's pretty much the two fish that I eat all of them, but it seems like the brim and the warmouth are pretty much my two favorites. A lot of time people have their own favorite. My mom always wanted the warmouth, but then there was another lady here that about my mom's age, and she used to want red breasts. Now, I don't know how you could tell the difference between a red breast and a warmouth and the taste, but I know the warmouth's thicker. But see that her favorite was the red breast. Well, guys, I think I'm get ready to call it a night, and I tell you, I sure appreciate y'all getting on here and watching and chatting and everything. Uh, yeah, little girl's awake over there now. And she's about to get wide open. I'm gonna have my hands full in a little bit. But yeah, Matt Smith, I love the freshwater fish too. 351 Cleveland, brown, crappie, and perch are my favorites. Yeah, man. I mean, I love all of them. I eat all of them. Just, I mean, certain people, everybody has their favorites, what they love. And my wife loves the warmouth because they mind her of the tilapia because um, a lot of times they have fish ponds in the Philippines and they raise tilapia and stuff in the fish ponds. All right, 351, take care, man. Y'all take care. All of you be safe. Weekend's coming up. Weekend gets you have a great weekend. I'm gonna try to. I got to get down there and check the water again because we've had no rain. I'll try to check it. If it's okay, I might try to get a video on here or something over the weekend if the water's right. But anyhow, I've enjoyed chatting with y'all and everybody be safe and I'll catch y'all the next time. Thanks for watching.